So in The Power of Now, or actually A New Heaven, A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, he talks about two aspects of the mind. He talks about mind structure, meaning the behavior of our mind and how it works, and how it engages with reality. And he talks about content, and this relates really well to Prince's video on this idea of mind identification, which is just so interesting to me. It's inherently natural for the structure of our mind to identify with things, to create labels, to sort of distance ourselves from reality in order to understand it. It's very, very difficult to deal with nuance, and the brain doesn't love nuance. It likes certainty, it likes to put labels, to think that it understands things. That's just natural. That's a natural behavior of our minds, but it can get overwhelming and bad when it comes in excess, and that's what's interesting about this, is the way that we're conditioned to see things, is how we're taught. You've got to be carefully taught. It's interesting, when we're really, really little, we don't have such a developed sense of awareness to understand labels, and yet we so don't know who we are, who we think we are. We have no idea who that is. Who we really are still shines, but there's no mind in front of that. The Art of Possibility talks about labels. When you grow up and you're young, you start to call yourself a name. You start to identify with your name and what you own. Like, that's why kids don't like things taken away from them, because they form a sense of identity and attachment. And really, what I think it is talks about attachment to things, but also talks about attachment to identities, attachment to thoughts. We have thoughts, we have labels and thoughts placed upon us, and then we attach to those, and we believe those to be who we are. The Art of Possibility steps up and says, is expectation something to conform and live up to, or is it a possibility to live into? Can you create the identity, or must you conform? Motorcycles, it's like who we think we are and who we really are. That gap varies in its degree of separation, how big that gap is. The structure of the mind is the mind identification part. The content is anything. Your body, a car, a computer, an idea, a thought, an expectation, a label. Those are all the things that we identify with. Nerd fighter, fisherman, singer, writer, author, YouTuber. Anything. It's all content. It's so interesting. It's such a fundamental concept. It's one of my favorite phrases is constants and variables. There's so many variables going on in life that we can't see the one true fundamental constant, that we're all human, because we're all obsessed with the labels. There's so much mind noise going on. It's hard to see deep to the actual constant truth. It's one of those situations like something is so simple, it's blindingly obvious. I've talked about this before. We have to disenthrall ourselves from labels and wanting to conform to them, and wanting to label other people and put them in a box based off of our own conditioning, our own mind, what the label means to us. That's why it's never important to label it. It puts a wall between you and the other person. It prevents that empathy gap. That empathy gap grows. It's so important to me, and that's why John Green, he's one of the first people I've seen it from so many places. But his whole motto of managing people complexly is a great approach to thinking about this topic and bridging that empathy gap, connecting with people, seeing they're human, but at the same time seeing how life have possibly conditioned them to be a certain way. Like, what's led them up to this point? People aren't good or bad or they're complicated. People are complicated. That's what I've been thinking about this week. People are complicated, and people, as John Green says, are hungry for stuff. They're just hungry for whatever. Maybe a sense of identity, purpose, and meaning. Maybe money, maybe power, maybe good things like friendship and connectedness. And people are just hungry for different things. I'll end with a quote today. It's so fascinating to me. I guess it's me thinking about big ideas and thinking deep. It's a quote by Ian Colfer. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. E-O-I-N. Before his young adult fantasy novel Artemis Fowl, he became an international bestseller in an 8-book series. He worked as an elementary school teacher in Ireland. See, a teacher, becoming an author. I never tell anyone exactly how clever I am. They would be too scared. I wonder what it is about people that scares other people. Like, is it the level of awareness? Is it the talking of big ideas and wanting to know big questions and big answers? Is it the ability of people to face reality and face problems in reality? Is that what causes people to get scared? By people that think big, that ask big questions, that sort of have a sincere obsession with knowledge and questions and answering. I wonder if that's what he means when he says he never tells anybody how clever. Is it cleverness or is it awareness or educated or perspective or questionable? Oh. What do you think? That's all for today. Keep being you. Don't forget to be awesome. We'll see you guys tomorrow, or you'll see me tomorrow. Either way, I don't really see you. You see me, I guess. You'll see me tomorrow. Big ideas. Everyone polka. Everybody polka. Everybody your brother.
To see ourselves and each other for who we truly